Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Listen up. I would like to request you first to like, share, subscribe to this channel. हम आज बड़े इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक के ऊपर बात करने लगे हैं. हमने वॉर स्ट्रैटेजीज के ऊपर तो बहुत ज़्यादा बात कर ली. हमने मिलिट्री के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा बात कर ली, कौन सुपीरियर है, कौन इंफीरियर है, क्या चीज़ें हैं. लेकिन अब क्योंकि सीजफायर हो चुका है, तो अब हम बात करेंगे कि आगे क्या होगा. क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोगों को जानना भी यही है कि आगे का फ्यूचर क्या है, और फ्यूचर हमेशा डिप्लोमेसी शेप करती है. उस डिप्लोमेसी को डिस्कस करने के लिए आज हमारे पास एक फॉर्मर डिप्लोमैट मौजूद है who served in the Pakistan foreign service for several years at multiple important stations. आज हम उनसे डिस्कशन करेंगे और उनके एक्सपीरियंस से जानने की कोशिश करेंगे कि what has the future for us, and despite that what can Pakistan to do to maximize whatever Pakistan can create from the situation that is out there. Assalamu alaikum sir, welcome to my show. I would like to start off by thanking you for being on my show. My first question to you is कि आपको क्या लगता है कि जो सीज फायर एग्रीमेंट हुआ है, ये सीज फायर एग्रीमेंट की वैल्यू क्या है और ये सीज फायर एग्रीमेंट क्या रैमिफिकेशंस रखता है पाकिस्तान और इंडिया के लिए?
Thank you very much. Ceasefire agreement is only to end hostilities and the use of weapons on borders. Ceasefire, India has started violating it. Secondly, Indian leadership. As long as Indian leadership, present Indian leader Modi is there, in my view, there is little chance for diplomacy, little chance for talks, success. The problem is when we examine this behavior of states, we have to see that how they are being run. I call Modi's rule in India as majoritarian authoritarianism. Majority authoritarianism, this is a term in political science, that when majority takes its decisions as an authoritarian leaders does. So this is, as long as Modi is there is little chance. However, our success in present conflict must have made his organizations realize that they need to talk now and they need to go for peaceful meals and discussions and negotiations. So Modi's ruling behavior, or as an individual, a ruler with a cloud, I mean, he tried to create himself as a charismatic leader, which he had never been. Basically, you know the history that he was barred from entering the United States and he was declared as a terrorist who had been killing minorities in India. So, but he was successful in manipulating the majority Hindus in India and got power. I would say that democracy in India is, of course, it's claimed that it's the largest democracy in the world. But the problem is that with 2 million voters, 1 million to 2 million voters, and how a parliamentary democracy can work. Leaving aside, we come back to our discussion that what's the future after this ceasefire? Ceasefire has ended it. The guarantors, United States, the powers, Saudi Arabia for us, Turkey, and certainly to some extent European Union. Now it will be up to them that how much pressure they can exert on India. Because our experience with talks with India had never been, you would say, a pleasant one. They always come back with some new excuses to bypass the old trends which we agree or we set. In 1993, I remember we had agreed on bilateral talks to resolve the issues. But India just bought time during that period and they were never serious. That's unfortunately Indian attitude had been. And since Modi has come into power, as he has got majority in his own country, he thinks that he is not answerable to anyone. I mean, they have closed this dialogue with Pakistan since last many years. So that's unfortunate that how they are going to now go back to this track of talking with Pakistan. I mean, their arrogance was that we are not going to talk with them. Do you think that they will talk with us now? I'm sure they will never come to talk with sincere.
What diplomatic strategy should we adopt, in your opinion?
Look, our diplomacy had generally been professional, and if it is left in the hands of professionals, strategy everybody knows. It's written in the books. It's being practiced, and generally our professional diplomats, they are well trained, and their strategy is generally what other countries do in diplomacy. We cannot invent new things. Diplomacy will remain the same. Negotiation patterns remain the same. You talk, and at the end, you reach to a solution, which is called normally a win-win solution, where you give something and you get something. For example, this Indus Water Basin Treaty, which is now going to be the largest issue. It was signed in 1960s, early 60s, and at that time, many new challenges, for example, this environment disasters, environment awareness was not there. Certainly, it needs to be little bit modified. But then, India is not ready to give little bit of share of water, which even this treaty provides to Pakistan. I mean, to close all water coming back to Ravi and Satluj, it was certainly an environmental disaster for Pakistan. So, if we have to revise it, or India wants it to be revised, India will have to give little bit share of water. For example, Sindh asked us that they need water to go to the sea because of certain environmental impacts. Same has happened over here in Punjab and this area, Satluj and Ravi and all this area. We need to have some water flowing from India, which totally India has stopped. Even now, rainy water does not come to us. Rather, these drains which bring in polluted water, they are flowing towards our side. So, India has never had a record of negotiating with, I would say, honestly, they lack it. This is how their media did prior to this, our retaliation. What they did, they consider us as just a small nation which has lost its capability to fight and which is just taking, all the attacks from the bird. So this is what they have made a perception about us.
Why have we faltered diplomatically over the course of history? Like, if you would remember, India has more allies. India appeals to a larger amount of nations easily. In terms of rallying support, they're always able to rally more support. What is the shortcoming in our sort of like diplomatic outreach with the world, in your opinion?
Our problem is that we never recognize the importance of economics in diplomacy and international politics. What it has been all that. I mean, without economy, what would have been their colonization? Was all due to resources. It was all due to economic development of Europe and colonial powers. They colonized the whole world. So we unfortunately had lost that. We never give due recognition to this fact that economy is most important anyway. And at our, it's fault of also our organizational setup that economic, foreign economic relations, they are not handled by Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan. And we do not move in diplomacy as a coherent organizational, whatever you may call it, coherent strategy. Our culture is handled by different, our press is handled by different ministry, and there is, this is the problem. I mean, there's no failure of diplomacy. It is the problem is that we need to rewrite our own rules of business. We need to rewrite or restructure our organization. I mean, these days there has been talk of reorganization of the whole federal government, but nobody is giving importance to such issues that how foreign relations should be done. So you cannot say that we have faltered. We have had a lot of friends. Generally, we have hardly, only except in few years of isolation was this terrorism, when the whole world was considering Muslims as terrorists. Those few years were considered that we lost some friends. But now, today at least, we have significant number of friends.
Don't you think our relationship with the international community is based on the idea of subservience? So we're like a subservient nation to America. We rely on them for aid. Saudi is another country which gives us money. The relationship is not based on parity and equality in that sense.
I mean, you have already answered in your question. That's the problem. Our dependence. That's the reason. That's all. Unless you are on equal terms with others, you are not asking for favors. It's all diplomacy or business or commercial interest or economic interest or political. They are all give and take. But we can offer them.
Yes.
We need to change it.
Yes. My last question to you, Sarah, would be, and it's more about the war. Let's come back to the current issue again. I think that from this conversation, it's understood that, like, obviously Pakistan will do its best to safeguard its interests and everything. What do you see as a future? Like, what do you see? Do you think that they will stop suspending the Indus Water Treaty? That India will give us some concessions after the incidents that have taken place? Or do you think that they will try and dodge the situation again, like they have done, as you've given examples from the history as well?
As long as an extremist leader like Modi is there, they will avoid giving any concessions, or they will avoid even the implementation of this treaty. It is the Indian people, they will have to decide about fate of Modi. As long as he is there, don't expect anything, because the whole world does not realize that how extremist he is. Fundamentalism is related or considered as Muslim phenomena. It is not. The Hindu fundamentalism, which Modi has been generating or spearheading or propagating in India, that has again, I would say, led their government into a majority authoritarianism again. So they will come with the same frame of mind. You see the body language, I mean, sorry, our friend can see their foreign secretary on TV. Their body language was as if they are not confident on what they are saying. Their spokesman, military spokesman, that lady who was on the TV, she was just reading a written script. And I'm sure generally their diplomats are not that unprofessional or not that arrogant. Generally, they understand how diplomacy should be done. But when they get orders from a person like Modi or that authoritarianism kind of behavior that leader has, because the leaders, either charismatic leader or a leader who was never charismatic, but he became leader with some slogans.
Yeah.
And those slogans, unfortunately, they have led the whole country towards extremism and fundamentalism. Hindu supremacy.
Yeah.
I mean, how you can revive that old thing? That's the problem. So I would say that certainly we should give it a chance. We should start renegotiating the whole thing. Our effort would be that Kashmir is also one of the list which is being discussed, but they will say no, we will only discuss ceasefire, we will only discuss terrorism, we will only discuss the those organizations which they perceive create disturbance in India, and they themselves don't realize that how vulnerable they themselves are. There are more than 20 insurgencies going on in India, the seven sister states in East India, and then all these western states, which is from Kerala to West Bengal, where majority of poor Indian lives. I mean, the country has more than 500 million people living under poverty. They have similar kind of things. This problem is that these few, I would say that it's like oligarchs, which are now running the show. Not only in India, but also all over the world. This is the fact. Only countries which so far have been saved from this trend is probably the China. Otherwise, these oligarchs are running it, and with that shining money and monetary benefits, or billionaires now running. Uh, Even USA is being run by a billionaire. So what kind of democracy are you talking about? Few countries of Europe certainly they are not in that. Otherwise, India again it's being run and influenced by billionaires. I mean, they have been using certainly their technological advancement, their IT exports, and all that. But the majority segments of their society, of people, they are living under poverty. So Modi does not realize he has only slogans for them. How long you can survive with it? In my view, now it is end of lobby. So Pakistan should take it a little bit with caution, give it a time. Modi will in itself will be eliminated by Hindus or even Indian voters through a process. Modi will have very difficult time. It was only for their domestic problems that they started bombing Pakistan. And Pakistan, it gives these people that we have an enemy, a bigger enemy which is going to destroy us. And then now Bangladesh coming up, becoming an anti-India. So they create this kind of enemy so that they bypass or, they divert the attention of their own people. It is a little bit complicated thing. The diplomacy is not over here main factor. It is the internal politics being used in international affairs. You cannot, this DGISDR, he said, don't externalize your internal situation. This is what he said in his press briefing 2 days back when he said that the world will see when we are going to retaliate. They have externalized their internal issues, or they want to put their internal issues under the blanket and just create some external issues so that the world thinks that India has a threat from perceived terrorists. And they just underestimated that Pakistan, which had the experience, 20, 30 years experience of fighting insurgencies, fighting in Afghanistan, or even this TTP. So, I mean, they were thinking that they were taking our military lightly. Our military had been busy throughout this last 20, 30 years, fighting from one place to another place, I mean, different issues. So, as long as Modi is there, certainly there are slim chances. So, we need to give them time or give ourselves, to get some time to ourselves. We should not hurry to it. India cannot stop water, particularly in monsoon weather or in monsoon period. So this Indian basin treaty, they cannot stop the water. Unfortunately, this climate change has erupted as a new issue, which we need to bring in that in this work. Otherwise, this river belong to you, and then we. Certainly, there have been some reports that our people were not sincere when they were negotiating this treaty or implementing this treaty. But we should leave those things behind. If India wants to reopen it, and World Bank is the guarantor, or certainly USA is the guarantor, then we have to, because this USA or World Bank, this is the post 1945 state system on which particularly the USA believes in, because they think that it ensures their control over the world. So if they are the guarantors, then and if they say that we need to talk, we should not say yes, we cannot talk. But we know that new issues have come up, environmental issues, and those should be taken care of. So India needs many years to rebuild or divert water of those rivers. So it is not that they can control water in monsoon.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So thank you so much for your time. It was really insightful. Let's hope peace prevails in the world and in Pakistan and India. Good luck to everyone watching, and we really hope that this particular incident comes to an end really fast, and it is for the best of our nation. Have a really good day. Allah Hafiz and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.